So I can't make a turkey here. I can't even make a turkey breast. I can't even make half of a breast because it's going to take 2 hours to make. I was trying, believe me. I was trying, like, what am I going to do? So we're going to do turkey for 1 or 2. So how do you do turkey for 1 or 2? Or if you make your turkey and have leftover sandwiches, that gets boring after a while. So I don't know if anybody's ever bought turkey cutlets before, or turkey tenderloins. They used to be really, really popular a few years back. Right now, I don't know if it's probably because it's right before Thanksgiving. I think a lot of this stuff is going to be, you're going to see it all over the shelves right after Thanksgiving, but especially for turkey tenderloins. The turkey tenderloin is almost, I don't know if you've ever seen a pork tenderloin. You see them all over the place in the grocery store, but it's the center cut. They're small. They tend to be 6-8 ounces each. Really a great size if you're going to cook for 1 or 2. In those packages, there's usually 2 of them, so you can cook one and freeze one. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any, so I found the turkey cutlets, and I love turkey cutlets. It's a nice change from chicken. So what they are, they're boneless, and it's basically the breast, and they've sliced it. Okay, so voila, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to season. I'm just going to make 1. So if you're just cooking for 1, you can make 1. If you want 2, whatever, you know. If you cook them, they'll last for like a couple of days in the refrigerator. The beauty of this is if you buy a package of them, there's probably going to be 5 or 6 in them in the package. So you can take 1 or 2 out and then freeze the rest and use it another time, right? So that's the nice thing about this. So you don't have to cook it all at once and then get stuck with all this turkey leftovers where we get a little bored of having leftover turkey. But so anyway, what I'm going to do is we're going to season this with a little bit of salt and pepper. If you don't want to use salt, don't use salt. But you know, turkey's kind of bland. We do want to put, oh, there it is. We want to put some seasoning on it, and then Italian seasoning. And what's an Italian seasoning? So it's a combination of rosemary, oregano, and thyme, right? Usually. So if you don't have Italian seasoning, you have those others, just put in whatever, you know, put in a nice combination of that, right? I happen to have some, so I'm just going to pour a little bit on top on both sides. Now, since this is so thin, it's going to cook very quickly. So I'm going to cook this in my pan. Which one do you want on this one? And I'm just going to heat up my stove. And we're going to it's going to cook pretty quickly, just a couple of minutes on each side. We're going to cook it in butter. Yes, butter. I don't buy salted butter. It tells you to use salted butter. So I don't buy salted butter because I use butter a lot for baking, and I don't want, God forbid, I pulled out the salted butter when I'm making cookies. I had a friend of mine who did that. It was not good. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to put the butter in my pan, and as I said, I'm going to saute. When it melts, I'm going to saute the turkey in the pan. I'm just going to do 1. Yeah. Because we're not going to eat till later. I want to eat this hot. So if I make 1, we can snack on it until dinner later on. So this is still melting. And then we're going to make a gravy, homemade gravy. It's better than the stuff that you buy in the store. It's a lot cheaper too to make. And it's really, so I'm waiting for this butter to melt a little bit. My oven's taking a little while to heat up. I'm at my oven myself. But when you make gravy, it's just garlic, onions. I love the smell of garlic and onions. And some butter. So we're going to cook that a little bit, then add some flour, then add some chicken stock. While I'm waiting for this, I just want to double check on my, oh, my potatoes. Look at that. Oh, they look so good. Oh my gosh. I wish you were here. Oh my. Looking good. Oh my, those are looking good too. Oh boy. Everything's just coming along. All right. All right, so now my butter is melted. I'm going to take my turkey. I'm going to stick it in there. And we're just going to let that saute for a minute or for a couple of minutes. As I said, I'm going to talk about my my gravy. So in my gravy, this is gravy for two. Really simple. It's a 1/4 cup of chopped onions. You know, if you wanted to use leeks, if you have leeks, you can use leeks. We said I just have a regular Vidalia onion. Doesn't matter. Just a piece. It's probably about a 1/4 of an onion. And then a clove of garlic that's crushed. So that's it. And then I have, you're only going to need a little bit of flour. Regular all-purpose flour is fine. I have Wonder in the cabinet. You don't have to use Wonder. It's open. I guess I use it, but because you only need, what do you need? I think it's like is it a tablespoon? I do a lot of this by eye. So when I make gravy, so yeah, it's only going to be a 1/2 tablespoon of flour. Oops, this is cooking. I'm going to flip this over. See, this cooks very, very quickly. And so, as I said, we're going to saute the onions and garlic, and then we're going to add the flour, and then we're going to add some chicken stock. I don't know if you've seen these in the grocery store. Instead of getting those big boxes, if you only need a little bit of chicken stock, you go open up the big box, you only need 1 cup and there's 4 cups. They sell these, they're packs of 4. Which I think are great. So this way, you know, once you open one of these things up, you're supposed to use it in a few days. And so to be able to have these little ones, I think are great. My mom turned me onto this. It's a great idea. Getting a little smoky in here. Okay. So we're just gonna stick that, because that is done. You see how fast it is? But now we want to make the gravy. So I'm going to add right now some more butter, another tablespoon of butter to this. Lower my temperature. You know how much I love my my electric stove. I'm still not used to it. I need to get over it. And we're going to add the onions and garlic. And we're going to saute that. Just for a couple of minutes until it gets soft. And you want to watch this because you don't want to burn your butter, right? So we're just letting that saute. I'm going to take that off a little bit. Take a peek at mine. I'm going to turn those off. Lower oven goes off because those are almost done. Amazing, right? How quickly those cook. Oh, I love the smell of garlic and onions and butter. You're going to say, well, can you make this with oil? You probably could, but with gravy, you really want to use some butter. I use the same recipe when I make turkey for my family. I'll make it ahead of time and I can stick it in the freezer. Okay, so the next thing we're going to add is add a little bit of salt and pepper to that. We're going to add some of the flour because we want to cook the flour a little bit, right? The flour is going to be the thickener. keep an eye on this, because we don't want to burn anything. A little bit more, because I didn't use my measuring spoon. If you don't cook the flour, it's just gonna, your gravy's gonna just taste like flour. And no one just like floury gravy. And then I'm going to use, this is a half a cup of chicken stock, they're telling us, because we're only doing one. So this is 8 ounces. So I'm just going to use half my box. Oops. Got a little carried away here. Okay. And so then we're just going to cook this until it gets a little thick, right? If you put too much in and it doesn't get thick, that's okay. Because what do? We can add a little bit of flour to some chicken stock, right? And that's gonna, and then we can add it to this, to your gravy, if you want to. And that's just a little trick to make something a little bit thicker. I do that with stews and with chili a lot, but I gotta tell you, this is looking pretty good. I don't even need to. So, can you see that? It's gotten very thick, very quickly. So then the last part of this is we take our turkey, we stick it back in the pan. I'm gonna lower this and put the gravy and just let it cook for another minute or two. Oh, you can't see with all the smoke, unfortunately. And it's not smoke because it's burning, it's smoke because and we'll just let that cook together for a little bit. I'm gonna put my leftovers back in the fridge, right? Because I can use this for anything. I use chicken stock for everything. You know, when I make tomato sauce, I'll use it. Believe it or not, I'll put a little chicken stock in it. If I want to, to just deglaze a pan, I'll throw chicken stock in there, maybe a little bit of wine, right? So you can use chicken stock for anything. So then I'm just going to put this on my little plate. See, it's a perfect amount of gravy. A little bit left over for later. I'm going to grab my Brussels sprouts out of the oven. Look at those. So simple. Oh, but we forgot the most important part. We're not done with the Brussels sprouts yet, because we're going to put a little bit of Parmesan on top, right? Sprinkle it on top. I'm going to stick it back in the oven. I almost forgot about this part. Can't believe it. And you can be liberal with this. And then a little bit of balsamic. Pour a little bit on it. If you go buy these at, if you go to a restaurant and you buy these, they cost a fortune. They do. And it's so easy to make. So I'm going to stick this in here. And then pull out